Welcome to episode 2 of Beyond 2D. How's everyone doing today? I'm doing pretty well. Hope everyone's doing good. And I just kind of want to get straight into it, okay? So I finished Quintessential Quintuplets. I finished both seasons, and I finished the movie. And I want to talk about these because I fucking hate everybody who told me to watch it. I regret watching it so much because I loved every second of it. But I hate it. I hate that I loved every second of it. Okay? So let me go quickly over just the general stuff, and then I'm going to get into some spoiler territory. So how did I like the show? It was awful in the best way possible. It had so many of the tropes, so many of the common things of harem and romance, but it did it so different somehow. Like, they made a show about 5 identical twins or quintuplets, and yet they all felt like different people, even though it was kind of obvious. Like, not obvious in a way where it's like it was obvious who he's gonna pick. I didn't know the whole time who he's gonna pick. Okay, I had my favorite. I had the one I thought was gonna win just because of plot, and then that's really it. Like that, and then a different girl won. So I don't know. Like, I actually had no idea until the end, which was the movie. Like, the last hour of the movie went over it. But the show, it did something somehow different than every other romance. Like, okay, one thing, it was ecchi without being ecchi. Like, it was fan servicey, but it didn't really show much fan service. Like, sure, they had like big assets and like they wore clothes that outlined those assets, but it wasn't really like ecchi bait. Like, let's say, like, okay, High School DxD is at the far end, but it wasn't like, oh my god, he fell and grabbed her boob. No, it wasn't any of that. It was like almost classy in a way. I should probably go over what the show is about first, okay? So, I don't remember, like, most of the names. So, there's this dude. There's this dude who's really smart, who gets really good grades in school, and then these quintuplets transfer over to his school, 5 hot red-haired girls, and he basically, through a series of events, ends up tutoring these 5 girls. And he has to, of course, make them go from getting, like, zeros on exams to passing and graduating high school. And so eventually, like, I mean, I don't think this is a spoiler, but of course there's some romance that entails. People start liking each other. And then he needs to eventually pick which girl he's gonna date, which girl he's gonna end up with. And the show starts off with a wedding scene. So we know he ends up with one of them. We know they get married. And that's really all we know. And then it starts from that story. And every single time there's something that happens where it's like, oh, you know, I met you that day. Turns out he met all 5 of them. Oh, I kissed you that day. Turns out he kissed all 5 of them. Or, oh, that day was the first day we kissed, but they were all dressing up as the same person, so he doesn't know who he kissed. So it's like a lot of antics like that. I feel like it's pretty obvious for like the watcher who each person is, because you tell by the voice actress. At least you could in the dub. But it was just such a unique show. It was a good show, okay? It was really pretty. The story was good. It ruined me, okay? So now we're going to get into spoilers. I'm going to spoil the quintessential quintuplets. If you care, skip to the timestamp on screen if I remember, or skip through, okay? Or you can click off the video if you really want to. But there's some juicy drama that I'm going to talk about after this rant. So, the quintessential quintuplets. Spoiler warning, starting now. I can't believe Yotsuba won. I cannot believe Yotsuba won. Someone spoiled it in the TikTok comments, and I got really mad. So I was kind of expecting her to win in a way, but like I was also hoping not to, okay? So my favorite was Miku. Miku was number 1 best girl, 100%. 150% she was best girl. She was the first one who started liking him. She was always there for him. She was always nice, well, except like at the start. But she was the most genuine. She was the best girl. I thought Itsuki was going to win, the main girl, the first girl he ever met, just because of plot, okay? He met her first. That's almost an automatic, okay, that's the winning girl. In almost every other harem, the first girl the main character meets, like in the show, not necessarily chronologically in time, but in the show, that's usually who he ends up with. Like, I don't know why the first thing that comes to mind is from Commonplace to World's Strongest, Alfredo, whatever. He meets the vampire girl. Every other girl likes him, but because he meets the vampire girl first, he gets with her. That's usually a common trope in harems. But for this one, it's not. He met Itsuki first. And she always felt like the main girl. She was always in the center of everything. Like in pictures, she was always in the center of the picture. I don't know, she always just seemed like the main character of the 5 girls. So I always thought he was going to end up with her just because of plot. I wanted him to end up with Miku, and the other 2 I didn't really care about. I started to like them a lot more, okay? Everybody was right. I started to like Nino a lot more in season 2, and then in the movie, okay? She became good. And Ichika I hated at the start of season 1, but then I started to like her too, okay? All 5 girls, okay, let me tell you this. All 5 girls were likable. And I can't believe I'm talking like this. I sound so G-Gen, but like, if you've seen the show, you know and you understand my feelings. All 5 girls were good. They were all good characters. They were all good love interests for him, and they all could have won, I feel. But what threw me for a loop is I thought Itsuki was the one he met 6 years ago in Kyoto, but it was Yotsuba. And I guess that's probably the only reason why they got together. I don't know. Yotsuba didn't really feel like she fit, but then after finishing the movie, when like they got married, I went back to the first episode, and she was always the one who was there, always the one who was always nice to him. And I guess there was that one time where he was sick, and she basically goes, "I like you," and then goes, "Just kidding." So that could have been true. That was probably true, because she said she's been in love with him since Kyoto. I'm just ranting about this now. I'm just going in circles. But yeah, the show messed me the fuck up, okay? And something I noticed now, talking about like, how Itsuki was in the center of every picture, in the movie, okay? I don't know if anybody else noticed this. In the movie, in the starting sequence where they are at like the water park, because of course, every rom-com, every harem needs a beach scene or like a water park scene or a pool scene. It's just a fact. They also need a festival scene. If you look at any rom-com ever, there's always a beach, and then there's always a festival. So if you look there at the picture they take at the water park, Itsuki is not in the middle anymore. Guess who's in the middle? Yotsuba. I don't know if they did it on purpose or if it was an accident, but almost every other picture, Itsuki's in the middle because she's like the main twin or the main quintuplet. But in the water park one, Yotsuba's in the middle. So I don't know if they did that on purpose, but that's something I noticed, and that's something I got scared of because I'm like, oh my god, she's in the middle. What if he actually picks her? Because I wanted him to pick Miku, but then I also kind of wanted him to pick Itsuki just because of like plot. The whole show, like the second hour of the show, okay, because I thought they were going to wait until the end of the movie. I'm talking about the movie, sorry. I thought they were going to wait to the end of the movie to say who he picks. But no, they picked it like midway through the movie. Like an hour in. It's a 2-hour movie, or a little bit over 2 hours, and they picked right in the middle. Or, well, maybe not right in the middle, but like 2/3 the way, like middle to 2/3, maybe 3/5 of the way. They tell you who he picks, and then they kind of go through Yotsuba's backstory, and then they go over kind of like their progression in their relationship slowly, and then they get to their wedding finally. But I have one gripe with the show. It doesn't really feel earned. He never got the chance in the show or in the movie to develop the relationship that I felt he developed with the other 3 girls, with Itsuki and Yotsuba. Yotsuba, I guess, it was kind of, if he got time with Itsuki, it would have been obvious that he chooses Yotsuba because he got the least amount of time throughout the show with her. Every girl had their own arc, almost, like their own few episodes where they were the main girl and they developed feelings for him within those episodes. So like the first few episodes was Miku. Miku developed feelings with him, and that was like her arc until she fell in love with him. And then it was Ichika. And then it was Nino. And then Yotsuba and Itsuki never really got that. I felt like never really got that arc to fall in love with him. They just kind of, I guess, over time developed feelings for him. Like Itsuki never got that, like, oh my god, I'm in love with him. I don't think she ever actually said that. But she was a contender for who he was going to pick. So I didn't really like that part. Maybe in the manga, they go over more detail. Let me know in the comments if they do go into more detail in the manga. Like, I like the show so much, but I also hated it. Where, like, I'm tempted to actually read the manga for it. And I never read the manga. I've only ever read the Attack on Titan manga. But anyways, that's the only gripe I have with the show, is they didn't really go over the love story of Yotsuba or Itsuki before he actually picked which girl he loved the most. So I didn't like that part. But that last hour of the movie, I cried like a little bitch. I could not stop crying. At every possible scene, I was crying. No matter what was happening on screen, I was crying, okay? He had to go pick which girl he wanted to go to. So he had to go to the area. And the fact that they were kind of like, oh, all these girls are in similar areas, so him walking down the school hallway doesn't really show who he's going to pick. And then, like, he bought a drink when Ichika was, like, sleeping. She was like, oh, buy a drink, so which one depends on which drink you buy is the girl you choose. And he bought a drink, but we don't see which drink it was. It turns out it was the juice, which was for Yotsuba. We don't see that until after he chooses Yotsuba. I cried like a little bitch when he chose Yotsuba, because then all the other girls were crying. I saw my girl Miku cry, and it was so sad. Even I started to like Nino, and I saw her cry, and that made me sad. All of them being upset made me upset. But then the story between Yotsuba and the main guy was just so sweet. Like, I also didn't really like how she ran away, but it makes sense because she doesn't want to. She was always like, oh, let me help my sisters, let me be there for my sisters. And by taking him away, she's taking him away from her sisters, and she feels really bad. She feels really guilty about loving him. But that whole scene was really cute. And then when, like, he basically fell and then, like, not tackled her, like, brought her down. She went down. She goes, I love you. That scene broke me. And then just, like, the whole wedding broke me. And, like, the whole, when she was confessing her feelings about him when he was in the room. It was just a whole mess. I was an absolute mess. And then after the movie, so I consumed all this in 2 days. I feel so empty still, okay? I'm recording this on Thursday morning. I finished last night, Wednesday night, and I'm still broken. I have not recovered at all. Last night, literally, after I finished the movie, I sat there on, like, my stairs for half an hour, just contemplating life. Like, what the hell am I doing with my life? I feel so empty, so depressed. Because I finished it all in 2 days, right? I just kept watching. It was like crack. It was like cocaine. I couldn't stop watching. So I just kept watching it. And I regret it, okay? I regret watching it because now I feel fucking empty and depressed. And it was such an emotional roller coaster, but I loved every second of it. It was just that perfect blend between trash and actual, like, charm and, like, actual good show where you just couldn't stop watching. Because, like, some good shows, you can stop watching because you're like, okay, I really don't want to watch this really good show because then it's going to be over. Like, let's say something like Full Metal Alchemist. Okay, I know it's, like, an objectively good show, but, like, I've watched a few episodes and I've stopped, or I didn't really want to start it because it's just, I don't want it to be over and I don't want to be disappointed because it's a good show. Or something like, I don't know, Death Note. I can go back and watch a few episodes of Death Note and then stop. I don't need to keep going to see what was going to happen. Not only because I know what was going to happen, but because it doesn't have that element of trash almost. I find it a lot easier to consume a show when it has that element of trash. And then it being an actual good show makes me want to continue it even more. Okay? So, like, all those trashy shows, like Domestic Girlfriend, I think I watched in like a day or two. Rent a Girlfriend, I caught up in like a day or two. Just because they have that element of trash, it made it so much easier to consume and just like, what the hell is going to happen next? Because it was just so absurd. Those really good shows, you knew what was going to happen to a degree. Like, you knew it was going to be good. And you knew it would make sense. But these shows never make sense. You never know if it's going to be good. The Quintessential Quintuplets had every possibility to end up shit. And that's what sucks, but then that's also what kept me going. And I don't know if it's not the same for you guys. I don't even know if any of you are still listening here. But if you're listening right now, comment, I don't know, what's a random word to comment? Comment coffee, okay? Because I'm drinking coffee right now. Comment coffee if you're still here right now. If nobody comments coffee, I'll be really depressed, but that means no one's listening to this part. Anyways, okay, this is getting too meta. My synopsis of Quintessential Quintuplets, my review. It was a fucking amazing show. Like, it was a really, really good show, but also really, really trashy, and that made me love it even more. I think it is a contender. It could be recency bias, but I think it is a contender for one of my favorite romance shows. Not one of my favorite shows, okay? Those trashy shows are always, like, really enjoyable to me, but I can objectively say they're not, like, my favorite shows, even though I enjoyed them to all hell. It was a really, really good romance and a really, really good harem. It did something different than almost any other harem I've seen, and that made it so much better. Every girl felt like they had somewhat of a chance of being with him, and the fact that they all look the same, that they showed so they showed the wedding, and then she looked like she looked. I don't know, but all of the girls could have looked like that because they are quintuplets, and that, I don't know, it was just a mess of a show and a mess of emotions and reactions from it. Like, I was flipping out throughout the whole thing, flipping out. But moving on from the quintessential quintuplets, I just really needed to get my rant out there. I really need to get my feelings out there and say it all and just get it all down. Okay? I hate you all for recommending it to me. I regret watching it because I'm so empty and I'm so lost without it. I'm tempted to rewatch it like immediately now just to get that craving. But I can't rewatch it because then I'll never get anything done in my life because I'll just keep rewatching it just to get that cocaine fix. But I guess that's how I acted with Horimiya. I think I watched Horimiya like 3 times within like 2 weeks just because of how good it was or how it made me feel. And I guess my obsession's a little bit over, but with the start of the season 2, it's not even real season 2. With the start of it, it really kind of revitalized but it's been such a long time since season 1, and it's not even a real season 2, that it's a bit underwhelming. I hate when shows do that. Okay, mini rant about this. I hate when shows say there's going to be a season 2 and it's not a real season 2. It's just like missing pieces that go in between the major story points of season 1. So like Ranking of Kings did this, Horimiya did this, and a few other shows have done this, where it's like not progressing the story, it's like going over, and it's like, okay, if this event happened in episode 2 and this event happened in episode 3 of season 1, then the first episode of season 2 is going to be like episode 2.5, like something that happened in between that. So if they traveled from location A to B, that distance that they traveled, whatever happened during there would be another episode, and it sucks. I hate those because sure, you do get more time with the characters, and like that's good. Like with Horimiya, it's not like some mastermind story where it's like, okay, this is a major plot point that we just missed in season 1, and they put in this like season 2 random like missing pieces recap. So it's kind of like very situational, and they just get up to antics, and like it kind of works for that. But for Ranking of Kings, I hated that they did that. I was so excited for season 2 because season 1 was such an unexpected, like, amazing show that I was excited to see what they would do for season 2, and it's not a real season 2, and that made me really disappointed. But moving on from that, moving on to the drama. Okay, I made a video about Gear 5, and people got so mad. People got so mad about my video about Gear 5. It's really funny. Okay, it's really, really funny how mad people got about it. So let me get into that. So I basically gave the opinion that Gear 5, okay, let me start this off with saying I never really watched One Piece, never really liked One Piece. I watched 30 episodes at the start, like I said in the last episode. I watched 30 episodes, did not like it. But with Gear 5 coming out, I wanted to see what all the hype was because Gear 5 has been hyped up for like years, okay? Or like a year. So ever since it came out in the manga, I've been seeing stuff about Gear 5 and like, oh my god, Gear 5 is going to break the internet. Oh my god, Gear 5 is going to be the greatest transformation ever. It's going to be one of the biggest events in all of anime. I was like, okay, I want to see this. So once it came out, I watched it. I watched that one episode. Okay, I had no idea what was happening in the story. No idea happening. Like I hear hits and bits from TikTok of like things that are happening in the One Piece story and things that are happening with Luffy's transformations. Like I heard about Gear 2 and like now I know with Gear 5 and I know it's like his strongest and I know the lore behind Gear 5, okay? People got mad at a lot of things in that video. First, I said the animation was not that great. I'm basing this off of animation in general. Compared to the rest of One Piece that I've seen, I've skipped through One Piece. One Piece is animated like ass, okay? It does not look good. So Gear 5, compared to all that, looks amazing. It looks like god tier animation. But compared to any other show I've seen, it's pretty mid. Compared to Mob Psycho 100, Mob Psycho 100 kills it in animation. Demon Slayer even, all of the Fate by Ufotable destroys Gear 5 in animation. As a transformation in general, I didn't really make a comment about the impact to the story that transformation had, because again, I have no idea. But I don't think it was as big as Ultra Instinct. Ultra Instinct broke the internet, okay? Gear 5 kinda did, but Ultra Instinct, everybody knows Ultra Instinct. There were so many memes about Ultra Instinct, and this is the next thing that people got mad for. I said I haven't seen any memes about Gear 5 yet, okay? It's just people hyping up, saying they loved it or disappointed in it. I've not seen any memes about it, I've not seen anything. You know something went big? When there's memes about it. Ultra Instinct, there were so many memes. You know how many times I saw a meme being like, when you pull out your sister right when your mom gets home? It's like Ultra Instinct. Like so many memes with the music, with just like the Ultra Instinct like thing. It got so big where it left the anime community. That's how big it got. Gear 5, sure, big in the One Piece verse, but other than that, I don't think it's as hype as everyone says it is, and I don't think it's as impactful as people or One Piece fan thinks it is, okay? And all the people giving me hate were the Luffy profile pictures, okay? People already had their Gear 5 profile pictures, and they were ready to start some shit, and I was ready to have it. The next thing people got mad for is I said, why should you listen to me? My opinion matters. They were too blinded by fury to understand that was satire. When people are blinded by fury, when you comment about their favorite anime, they get blinded by fury and they have no idea what satire is. Of course, my opinion doesn't matter. I'm literally some random guy. If you like a show, I don't care. But I'm still going to give my opinion because I have this platform and I'm talking about anime, so I'm going to talk about my opinion on animes, even if they're animes I don't like One Piece. And I just find that One Piece is just that one series where there's always that super toxic fan base that I run into. I guess because that's really the only show I keep talking shit about. But I feel like you must be a child if you're getting this mad. Okay? And hear me out. I used to be like this. When I was younger, when I started anime, when I got into Naruto, and I'm like, oh my god, Naruto is literally godsend. I was like this. If people talk shit about Naruto, if people said that other shows are better than Naruto, I got so mad. I'm like, no, Naruto is literally the greatest show ever. God came down from heaven and was like, here's Naruto. That's what I felt like. The show was so amazing. I got so emotional. I got so tied up. My life became about Naruto when I first watched it and when I first got into anime. It was my favorite show ever. And when it ended, I was crushed. And I guess that's how people who are watching One Piece now feel if they're younger. Because once you grow up, once you start watching other shows, once you diversify, you realize that it doesn't really matter if other people don't like your favorite show. I can acknowledge that Naruto, my favorite show ever, my first ever anime, sometimes kind of sucked. There's a lot of flaws to Naruto. But because I love the show so much, I love it with those flaws, including those flaws, acknowledging those flaws. And I don't get mad anymore when people say Naruto is shit. I may be like, no, you're shit, or no, you're wrong. But it's like, at the end of the day, it is an opinion. And I don't get as mad anymore about these opinions because I acknowledge that, hey, other people are going to like different things than me in anime. And not every anime is going to scratch everybody's itch. And people should just realize that. And it's like, I guess it comes with age. I guess I'm just arguing with like 14-year-olds on TikTok, which, I mean, would make sense. They have Luffy profile pictures. They must be 14. It was just something I realized where it's like, you're not a true anime fan. You're not like in love with the medium until you can acknowledge that there's more than one great show out there. And people are allowed to not like a show. The funny part is though, all these people getting super mad about Gear 5 are like anime only watchers or who are obsessed with the anime. The true One Piece fans, I know you're a true One Piece fan when you say the anime is shit. When you read the manga, you love the manga and you say the anime is shit. Because I hear that a lot from like true manga readers who've read the manga and watched the anime and basically go, the anime is really bad. It's really slow paced. Animation isn't that great. And they miss a lot of things, like a lot of details, and it's just a lot better in the manga form. And I respect them. I respect One Piece fans because of how dedicated they are. But when you come up here with your Luffy profile picture and start talking shit, I'm gonna make fun of you because it's really funny. Another thing I didn't like about Gear 5, the sound effects. I know it was modeled after Tom and Jerry. I know that was the inspiration, but that doesn't make it good. Just because it's modeled after something that's really famous doesn't make it good. It was way too goofy for me, and it just didn't fit how cool it was. Like, look at Ultra Instinct. Ultra Instinct, okay, I'm like, you may get mad at me for comparing it to Ultra Instinct, but it's like the most like comparable transformation. Not only do they look alike, it was like the most impactful. Like when Goku went Ultra Instinct, it was like insano sicko mode, and that same thing with Gear 5. But when he did that, it was so cool. It was so badass. He was just like, I'm Giga Chad now. Imagine if Goku turned Ultra Instinct, it was fighting Jiren, and fucking Tom and Jerry sound effects happened. Like the bing bong, like whoa happened when he was fighting Jiren. You know how fucking dumb that would be? And you have these One Piece fans standing that, oh my god, it fits so well. Oh, it's such a creative masterpiece to do that. No, you can say it's goofy. It doesn't fit that well. Or like you don't need to go into this like philosophical like, oh my god, Oda's such a genius for doing this. It makes so much sense why it's like this. Sometimes it could just be goofy. You can not like something about a show that you love. You don't need to like every single thing and defend every single thing. Like, let me go back to Naruto. I hated a lot of characters in Naruto. A lot of the Akatsuki I did not like. I didn't like how Kaguya happened. I didn't like how slow a lot of the fights were, just a lot of the story was. There's things you cannot like about your favorite shows, and people just need to accept that. So that's the drama with Gear 5. People got really mad because I never watched One Piece, that I gave a comment about it. And you know what? I don't care. Last thing I want to talk about is, so since I just finished Quintuplets, I'm starting a new show. I'm starting Snafu. Well, it's not really new. My teen romantic comedy. But I'm running into the situation where I don't know if anybody else has felt it before, but I didn't think I watched teen romantic comedy. Well, okay, originally I thought I watched it all, but then the more I heard the name, I'm like, I don't think I've ever watched it, but I've heard a lot about it. I've heard a lot about Snafu. Like, it's such a good rom-com. It's such a good show. So I was like, okay, I'm dying from the quintessential quintuplets. I feel empty as fuck. I need to fill that void with as many shows as possible right now. So I'm like, okay, let me watch Snafu, because I hear a lot about it and I just want a romance show to fill that void. I put on episode 1 and I'm like, wait a second. I've seen this before. Like, deja vu. And so what I think happened is I've watched a few episodes of it. I don't know if I ever finished season 1, but I just completely blanked it from my memory. So I'm going to go back and rewatch it all and catch up to all 3 seasons I think there is, and there might be a movie. I'm not too sure. But aside from that, have any of you ever been to that situation where you just start watching a show and you're like, wait a second, I've seen this before? That happens a lot for me for like those like trashy harem ecchi shows, because I just watched so many back in the day where if I watch one now, it's like, wait, I've seen this before. Completely random thing that I just noticed because it literally just happened right before recording this and I wanted to mention it. I wanted to see if anybody else had it. And now I'm just realizing I never ended the spoiler warning for the quintessential quintuplets. But anyways, that's probably the end of where I'm going to end it all. Quintessential quintuplets, I love that show. I regret watching it. One Piece fans will always be mad, and they need to grow up. And that's really it. That's all I talked about in this episode. Kind of a very precise episode. A lot more precise than the last one, or a lot more focused than the last one. It's just I needed to get it off my chest, the quintessential quintuplets, while I was still burning up inside. I couldn't wait a week to record this and the emotions died down, because no, I wanted you guys to get the raw emotions. If I recorded last night, I'd be fucking crying on here talking about it, because it was that impactful. I was crying. I don't remember the last time I felt this way about an anime. I'm going back into it, no, because I forgot to mention in this. I don't remember the last time I felt like this in an anime, where I just felt so empty. I kind of felt that with Horimiya, but because I just kept rewatching it over and over again in like a 2-week period, it kind of filled its own void, like a, what's called like a Ouroboros, where it just like keeps like eating itself. Because I just kept consuming it, and then eventually I was just like, okay, I'm satisfied. With quintessential quintuplets, I know if I start rewatching it, I'm not going to get anything done, and I need to get things done in my life. But the last time I remember specifically feeling like this, aside from Naruto, was unironically High School DxD. I felt this empty after watching a few seasons of High School DxD, and I don't know why. I actually don't know why. Like, just like with the way that, what was his name? Isuke or something? Issei? How like his relationship with like the girls happened, like with Rias and Akano and all those Koneko, and how they just all started to love him. I think it's just that. I don't know. I don't know what makes me feel this way. I guess when just a show has like a big impact, and I guess High School DxD had a big impact on me, because it did set the stage of what types of shows I was going to watch for like the next like 5 years. But anyways, let me know your thoughts about the quintessential quintuplets. Don't put spoilers in comments. You're an asshole if you do that. And let me know about Gear 5 and why my opinion's right. And let me know if you understand what satire means, okay? But anyways, if you've listened this far, I really appreciate you sitting here and listening to me just rant. You guys can put it on in the background. Next episode, get ready for me to roast your anime takes. I asked on TikTok whether what your guys' favorite animes are, and I'm going to be going over them in the next episode and roasting the fuck out of you. So if you haven't went and put your comment in the video, go on my TikTok. Link will be in the description, and let me know what your favorite anime is, and I will be going over it next episode and telling you why you're wrong and why you shouldn't have that as your favorite anime. But anyways, guys, if you're listening this far, I appreciate you so freaking much. And I hope you guys tune in for next week. I have a video in the works where it's going to not be this. It's going to be an actual video like my older videos. And I'll try to post alongside with these. I want to post these every week. And I guess I chose Tuesday to do it. So look out every Tuesday for an episode like this, at least for the foreseeable future. I don't know what's going to happen. Anyways, I'm rambling again. Thank you guys so much. Remember to like and subscribe and comment down below something. And oh yeah, here's the shout out for everybody who commented on the last video. Same thing will happen next time. Thank you guys so much, and have a great rest of your day.